So I wanted to talk a little bit about your basic protocol when you're starting CW and you want to actually get on the air. You kind of want to know a protocol of what to say, how to get a conversation going, how to generate a conversation, and basically in a CW contact, generally it is your RST, your location, your name, which you can send name is, or you can say op, like operator, because everything is short in Morse code. So, but everything in a real basic conversation of Morse code is a lot smaller than I thought it would be. So I want to try to demonstrate a little bit. Make sure my drive level's down here, and so say you're here and I've got paddles. I would encourage you to start on a straight key, because if you've ever heard of the Straight Key Century Club or SKCC, it's a really good place to start. They send really slow, they're really understanding. If you get afraid, they're not going to chew your head off. Really, nobody in Morse code is going to do that. So what I would do is I would start on a straight key for two reasons, and that is one, so those guys usually hang out around 70-50 to 70-60, or for 80 meters it would be 35 50 to 35-60, and then 20 meters be 14-050 to 14-060. And you'll hear the slower speeds sent in that area unless there's a contest going on or something like that. So you listen for a while, you're finally comfortable with the 40 characters, which is all the alphabet and abbreviations and stuff like that. So you listen to one station long enough and you're like, maybe I want to call him, At first you're going to feel nervous. So understand that we all go through that and we all make mistakes. So as one of the LICW teachers taught me is, they're not going to jump out and strangle you with your cord or their cord or anything. So even in contests, big contests, they mess up a lot. So I worked the Kentucky QSO party this past weekend, and I messed up a lot. And that's okay, because if they really wanted it, they're going to get it, right? So, and most people in Morse code are going to be very, like I said, they're going to be very understanding, very supportive. The SKCC actually has a SCED page where you go to and everybody can chat. It's a great page. You can earn awards and stuff like that. I finally got my Tribune, so I went through the Centurion with 100 contacts there, and I went through 50 Tribune to get my Tribune award, and then working towards Senator. But here's all you'll have to send. Okay, you hear somebody, and I've tried to slow this down a little bit, but I want to try to keep it around 15 words a minute and space it different. So you'll hear them, you'll call their call sign, let's use Rick. Say you send your call sign, and Rick responds with my call sign. So like, okay, so they respond. Okay, so the first thing generally is, if it's morning time, you can send GM, or if it's the afternoon all the way up till nighttime, you can send good afternoon. or good evening, which everything in Morse code is abbreviated, so good afternoon is what I send, or good evening. I just like good afternoon better, or GA. You can say thank you before you start. And there's two ways to send that. So the first one is going to be thanks, TNX. And I hear this one more common, and I use this one myself, especially when I'm doing Parks on the Air, is just a TU. So you hear that a lot in contests, right? So they grab your number and thank you, and that's all they need, and they're gone. So just a good afternoon or good morning. Thank you. You're going to send your, which is UR, not YOUR. In code again, keep everything short, so that's what UR sounds like really fast, or ran together, okay? So you can send it slow if you want. So after a lot of time, people understand this. So now what you want to send is RST. Okay, again. You're going to tell them what you're getting on them. I typically look at my meter. So I've got like an S4 of noise. If they're giving me a 7 on the meter, I'll give them a 579. So RST 579. Okay, you notice I didn't send a 9, I sent an N, because there are very common cut numbers, and 9, because is one of them, and so is 0. Okay, so N, anytime you hear, like a real common one's 599, right? Everybody's 599. You're a 5, everybody's a 599. So 599. Or like in this case, if they're giving me a 579, see, I messed up. Don't sweat it. And I usually send their RST twice. So if they're a 599, you can send them 599 twice. And then you can pause, take a breath. If you take too long, send a BT. It's kind of a break. It's just a break in a transmission, okay? It lets the other person know that you're still there, but you're just trying to think of what to say. So the next thing you want to say is name is, or op is. I used to do name, and I still kind of mix it up a little bit. So if I'm on doing faster code, I'll tend to use op is. But for this sake of learning, I'll just say name, because you'll hear that a lot. It's very common. Those are the two common ones. So name is. And a lot of times it's kind of controversial. If you want to send is, you can just send name. Or op. Okay, op. And then you want to send your name. So my name is Jared, but I go by J. I've kind of went by J for a while before I got into Morse code, but some names can be shortened down, okay? And you can change that on QRZ. You can put that in parentheses or whatever. So name is whatever your name is. Name is J. Here's another point where you can pause, or you can throw a BT. It just lets the other person know that you're still there. You're just thinking. Now you want to go ahead with your QTH. So you don't have to send your city, just your state. I rarely ever send my city. If somebody sends their city, I'll probably send it back, but I live in the city is long, right? So I don't want to send the whole name of the city. So I'll just put QTH is Kentucky. And again, I'll send it Kentucky 2 times. So it's good to send your their RST twice. Sometimes you can send your name twice. You're never going to go wrong. So, and your location, always send it twice. Excuse me. So, just in case there's QSB or fading or something like that going on, you want to make sure they get that, okay? So in SKCC, this is a point right here where you'll pause, and you might throw a BT. And what you want to do is you want to go into your number. Everybody that joins SKCC gets a number, right? I have a really long number. So, you know, after you send your state twice, you can do SKCC number. So SKCC NR is number. So anytime you hear NR, you know there's a number coming. Number is, and my number's a little long, but we'll send it anyway. And the T on the end is just because I'm a Tribune now. So if you're a Centurion, once you reach that status, you'll be a C. So after that's all out of the way, you want to pause again. And then you want to send a how question mark. Or you can send how copy question mark. Generally, as you get further advanced in the code, you'll just send how question mark or HW. Okay, so how question mark or HW question mark question mark. Get used to that one because you'll hear it a lot. You probably rarely hear a period, so forget about that one for now. And then you want to go into you want to say their call sign, and then your call sign. So their call sign, this is, and then whatever your call sign is. So I sent them their RST. I told them my name is Jay. I told them my QTH is Kentucky. And then I went and I give them my SKCC number. If you don't have a number, don't worry about it. You don't have to do this SKCC number. Just skip that one and just put how. And then you want to put their call sign. This is. And then your call sign. And then I always send this, and I've gotten used to it from doing Parks on the Air. So when I turn the conversation back over to them, I'll do a BK, and they'll usually answer with a BK. So it's a hand thing. It's a muscle memory thing. You get used to it, even with a straight key. So that basically turns it back over to the person, and they'll usually sign 73s. So if you don't catch anything of their part of the conversation toward the end, you'll always catch this. $73. So we went through, let's say Rick called me. I'm going to put good afternoon. Your RST 5, we'll say 599. Okay, we're going to break. Just get a little breather. BT together. Name is your name. And you can send it twice if you'd like. Again, that's another point where you want to pause. So BT. QTH is next. Kentucky twice. So give your state 2 times. You want to pause again, okay? If you don't know what to say and you're kind of nervous and you want to send it over, just go ahead with the how question mark, because you want to know how they copied you. And then you do their call sign. Your call sign. BK. And sure, they'll either hit you back with a B. If they're properly educated in code, they'll hit you back with a BK. BK. Turns it back over to them. So there's other parts of the QSO I don't want to kind of touch on here. You've got their name, their state. Let's say it's Rick, okay? And he's talking to you, and you may not know what he's saying because he's sending a little too fast and you're not proficient yet in copying. So you can just say FB, which is fine business, and then his name, or like Rick. Okay, then you can go into here at this point and you can put rig is, and we'll say ICOM 7300. Now we're going into the 7300, and remember what I said about the cut numbers. Okay, that prevents you from having to send 2 zeros, which is, so in the 7300, ICOM 7300, it's, then you can pause, or a BT. Now you want to tell them your power. Power is PWR. 100 watts. 100. And you can put W after that. and then put a BT. Okay, we'll tell them about your antenna. Now you want to talk about your antenna. So your antenna is a loop. Yeah, so you got a loop. That's it. Ant, A-N-T, is loop. And you don't have to exceed that about your antenna, but it's, if you're feeling good that day and you want to tell them the elevation of the antenna, you can extend that part of the protocol. So the antenna is the loop, about would be ABT, 30 feet. Feet is FT, abbreviated. Again, you can send the BT. Now, if you're, they'll go on to talk, if they're getting into a deep QSO, they usually talk about the weather, right? So we all talk about the weather in ham radio because we're in different parts of the world or the United States. So after you tell them your rig, your antenna, your power, you want to send them your WX, which is weather. And here, you can either, weather here is, or weather is, let's say, weather is rainy. Or you can say rainy and in Morse code is ES. And. So rainy and warm. Okay, that's all you got to say. Let a BT. Because you're taking a break. Your mind is taking a break. Your fist is taking a little break. Because it will take some time to develop muscle memory at this point. And at this point, you can either send how, question mark, and you can dive directly into a BK, which skips the call sign exchange. It depends on if you're within the 10 minutes of having to give your call sign, okay? But this is a part that everybody has their own way about it, and I usually send this, thank you for QSO 73. But 4 is always FER in code. Again, we're trying to get rid of those longer characters, so thank you for, or fur, QSO. And this is where you want to send 73. Or, you know, you can tell them your XYL is yelling at you. You got to go. Supper's done. Dinner's done. Anything. Must go. But always 73. And then at the final part of their call sign of signing away, you want to give their call sign. I messed up. If you mess up, or a series of they'll know you messed up. This is. And then at the end, I like to do a little SK, which means you're signing off. You're going to silent the key. You can do a little shaving a haircut 2 bits. It just adds a little humor into code, and let them do the other 2. So that's basically what you'll talk about in a generalized CW conversation. Like a POTA, like if you're activating a POTA, Parks on the Air, or Summit, a lot of time you just have to answer their call sign with your call sign, give a signal report, and thank you. That's really it. If you're the chaser, chasing the guy, then you want to always send the RST, your state, and then thank you. So if I'm the one that's doing the activation at a park, I'll hit their call sign with my call sign, and then this is. I'll give him his quick RST. After that, I'll send BK. So, and they'll probably answer you with the BK. They'll probably, so if you're the one that's chasing, you'll send a BK. Thank you. Or you can send R a couple of times. That means Roger, Roger, you got their message, and you want to give them theirs. Let's say they're 559, they're way out somewhere. Then always send your state. And then at that point, if you're chasing a SOTA or Parks on the Air activation, you can just, after you send a 599 or 559 or whatever their RST is, just send a, it's a 73 and a dit. It means, thanks, I accepted yours, you accepted mine, see you later. So, I know this video ran a little long. Don't be afraid. Well, it's easier said than done, but your first couple of contacts, your first handful, or maybe more, depending on what kind of anxiety level you have, or how proficient you are, I think after you learn 40 characters, and you're feeling pretty confident at an intermediate level, which is, like, to me, an intermediate level is a really low intermediate level. Go ahead and get on the air and tell them it's your first time, or tell them that you've only been doing CW for a week or a month or a year. You know, I've only been doing CW a year. It's okay, because we're all going through it together, and that's what makes Morse code great. So it's an aspect of the hobby that seems long lost, and you really have to respect the guys that did it for a living, that pounded a fist 8 to 10 hours a day. You know, I mean, they're just hammering out, and you'll notice you'll have these, especially with SKCC, where you're going to send a lot of numbers, and you're going to send that basic QSO protocol there that I just told you, without the weather, without the antenna or any of that stuff. just a basic, your name, your QTH, you give them their RST, how copy, thank you, 73, and their call sign, your call sign. Just sweat through it a couple times and put yourself in uncomfortable positions. So if you're studying or copying or practicing, that's more practical at this point. If you're practicing Morse code at 17 words a minute and you're struggling, what you want to do is bump the speed up. I know that sounds backwards, but you want to take it to about 25 words a minute or 30, and then listen. Even if you don't copy it, if you're just picking out parts, if you can just let your subconscious or your unconscious mind hear it for about 5 to 10 minutes, at least 5 minutes, and then bring it back down to your speed level, you'll notice a big change. You'll notice that your copying is way easier. So I'll put this up, and hopefully it helps some of you guys that are wanting to learn Morse code and maybe feel too nervous or you're not good enough. And I'm not proficient. I'm only at probably 16 words a minute right now. So it's a really unique mode with lots of great contest awards. You don't have to get in there and rag chew. That's what I was afraid of mostly, was people wanting to talk like they do in person, and you'll rarely hear that. And if they do send that and you don't copy it, just pretend you did until you do learn to copy it. So it's okay, you know. All right, guys, 73, and we'll talk to you later. I may make another follow-up video to this, but I made it really long. So see you guys.